Hey guys, welcome back to the Reed Homestead. Today we are going to make some organic ginger bug. This is all the ginger that I grew in the yard this past year in the garden. You got this is for consumption. This is for replanting. You can see all these roots in here. So right now this is dormant. But once you plant this, just under the soil, a little compost, it'll start growing again, and you'll have much more. You remember, in the last video where I was harvesting this ginger, I only started off with 5 thumb-sized pieces, and after 1 year, I think I came out with about 7 or 8 pounds. So ginger is really easy to grow. It's very beneficial. Obviously, it's good for inflammation. It's a probiotic, which is what we're going to take advantage of when doing ginger bug. Okay, so I've already got 1 batch going. So I'm just going to show you how to start this. And it's really simple. Okay, what we're going to do is add equal parts ginger and sugar to a mason jar, okay? Equal parts ginger and sugar to a mason jar, and then double the amount of water, okay? So we'll just quick wash the hands. We'll wash that ginger up a little bit. It's already been washed once, but we're gonna rinse that off, and then we'll get started. Okay, 1 sec. Okay, so just got done washing that up. Now, you don't have to be so precise. You could measure this out with a measuring cup. I don't really do that. That's not the way I cook. So what we're going to do, the good thing about ginger, it's kind of like potato. Once you cut it, it develops a scar tissue around it, it dries out, and then it could still be planted, okay? So you can see I've already used part of this one. Couple of different sprouts, rhizomes, but they dry over, and this is still very healthy, okay? So ginger has within it a natural yeast that we're going to take advantage of. It's both on the skin and in the flesh, okay? So what ginger bug is, it's a base. Ginger bug is a base, so you could, takes about a month to do or so. What you could do with ginger bug, you could make ginger ale, homemade ginger ale. After you're done with this, in about a month's time, you could mix your final product with carbonated water, like Perrier water or something like that. Just add some sugar, add some of your mixture, and boom, you got homemade ginger ale. You could also make ginger beer out of this. If I wanted to turn this into alcohol, I could add just a little yeast to that. What we're doing here is just relying on the natural yeast within the ginger itself. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. You can see I've done a lot of research on this. There are a lot of different opinions. Some say you want to cover the mason jar during this process. Some say no, don't. Leave it open to the air. Let the natural yeast of the household supplement the yeast within the ginger. Some say use just whole slices. Some say dice it up real fine. It doesn't. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. So we're going to get a little more than that. Okay, we're just cutting thin slices, like so. Not that big of a deal. And then we're just going to give it a rough chop, kind of like that. Okay, what's going to happen is you're going to take the ginger. Here, you got about a handful, okay? I'm not going to measure it out. I'm not going to weigh it. You can get a digital scale. I have one up here somewhere that I use for making fermentations, and when you have to be real precise, you could weigh this out, you know, on a digital scale, and that'll give you a true reading. You could use a measuring cup, just throw it in there. I use the palm of my hand. So, got a fistful, just throw it in, okay? Take some granulated sugar from the household. It's just normal household sugar. I keep it in this because it's easy. I drink coffee every day. Just a handful. Okay? See that? It's about the same. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to double that amount in water. So I've got some 0 water right over here. We're going to put about up to there. Okay, and that's going to jumpstart this process. 1 sec. All right, so we've got the water added. You can see it's about 1/3 of a quart. Let me get that kind of zoomed in a little so you can see that a little better. So that's about 1/3 of a quart. And all you're going to do now is just mix it around. Like so. Okay. Just getting those sugars and the ginger all mixed together. Now, there's another controversy. Do I want to put the lid on the mason jar or not? Well, okay, it doesn't really matter. What I do, I've used a lid and I haven't used a lid. I've done both techniques. You know, you're going to feed this thing, they call feeding the ginger bug. Okay, so that involves adding just a little more ginger, like maybe half the amount you start with. In a few days, when you see a reaction here, you can see it's already turned that cloudy color. See if you can see that. But it's already starting to turn that kind of cloudy color. Okay, you're going to see a reaction in 2 or 3 days. Some say wait 7 days before you do anything. Let this process start foaming up and all that. Other people say feed it every day immediately, start adding ginger. What I would do is wait 2 or 3 days with your original mixture right here. Wait 2 or 3 days. And after the 3rd day, you should see some foam starting to gradually gather at the top. Okay, when that happens, what you want to do, add a little more ginger, equal part ginger, equal part sugar. Okay, and a little more water. You're increasing the environment for the ginger bug to continue creating that base that you're going to use for ginger ale. I'm going to strain this when I'm done. Here, I'll show you what I got. So, went to the store, and I was looking for a larger jar. And you could buy a large mason-sized, gallon-sized jug, you know, from Ball. They cost about 15 or 20 bucks, okay? As you can see, this is a pickle jar, okay? A little hack, okay? So instead of spending $15 on an empty mason jar, you can get a pickle jar, just take the label off, rinse it out. You know, they're only $7. This is Mount Olive. $7 for a big gallon-sized jar of pickles. All right, you take the pickles, store them, rinse this out, wash it, you know, make sure it's really clean, dry it, and then what I do is I add to this every day. Keep it at room temperature. Some people say in a dark spot. You know, you don't want it to have direct sunlight, but you could see how cloudy this is. You could see up top, here, you could see it's foaming. So it's reacting to the sugar. The yeast is reacting. That's called ginger bug. What I'm going to do when this is done, all this at the top will start floating, start descending down, sinking to the bottom. You can see where it's gathered. That means it's working, okay? So what I'm going to do when this is done is I'm going to strain all that ginger, probably put it through a food processor, mix it up with some more water, put it into an ice cube tray, and have ice cube ginger for like lemonade or whatever. I'm going to save this for my tea. I use that for tea. I'm going to make some homemade ginger ale for my wife. And I may, depending on how much I end up with here, I may end up making, like ginger moonshine or ginger beer. This will turn to alcohol. So anytime you've got yeast and sugar, the old time moonshiners just use corn, but you're basically making a very low grade alcohol here. If I wanted to increase the amount of alcohol, I'd add yeast. They have a certain specific kind that you use for alcohol, but the old time moonshiners just use this. Fleischmann's bacon yeast. So what I'm going to do here, I just use coffee filter and a Ranger band or rubber band. So what I'm going to do is just add this to the big jug right there. Okay. Well, what you'll do after a couple of days, when you see the reaction, what you're going to do is just come over here, get you a spoon, stir it up. Okay. You don't want, if you add too much sugar, this is one thing you want to be careful of. You add too much sugar, you could turn this water into syrup, and you don't want that. So this is what it should look like when you're done. We're just mixing up all those sugars and the yeast and the water. Again, natural probiotic, very good for you. And ginger is a very strong anti-inflammatory. Okay, so let's put that aside. We'll get the same coffee filter. Okay. Oh, that one busted. It's not a Ranger band. Okay. Pretty simple to do. Now what I do, I keep this in the hutch out of direct sunlight. I don't have enough room in my pantry, so we got a lot of storage in there. But this is it, okay? That's how easy it is to do ginger bug. And again, this is going to be a base. This is going to be a base for homemade ginger ale. You can make beer out of this. You can make moonshine out of this. I strain all the ginger at the end, put it in the fridge. That'll stop the fermentation process, the chemical process involved here. It's called cold shocking. Put it in the fridge, strain all the ginger, put it in the fridge. Then what I do is I'll use some of this for my tea. You could use this in lemonade. We'll make some homemade ginger ale. I'll have a future video about that. Maybe some homemade beer or something a little harder. But that's basically it. In a future video, we're going to separate some of these out, make them a little smaller, and then plant these in the garden and around where we want some decorative stalks in the yard. So around the driveway, around the mailbox. Ginger sprouts grow to 4 or 5 feet. They can get even taller depending on what kind you get. This is just store-bought ginger. It was organic. They say use organic because when you buy other than organic, what happens are the companies, the farmers end up spraying these things with anti-growth hormones, so you won't get these roots and things like that growing. They do that with all their vegetables. So That's why you want to use like a vinegar water solution on your veggies that you buy at the store. Always wash those off because you don't want those hormones or that chemical spray in your body. So make sure you wash your fruits and veggies with like a vinegar water solution. That'll remove all the chemicals and spray and the hormones that they use to stop the growth. And then you'll be able to plant that out. So even if you don't buy organic ginger, it'll still work, as you can see. This was just Walmart ginger, right? You get it home, treat it, wash it with vinegar water, and it's good to go, okay? So obviously you can see the amount of ginger we have. And again, this is a base, and you could do anything with this. You can make ice cubes. You can make, supplement this with tea, lemonade, make homemade ginger ale, make ginger beer. You could even make ginger liquor, okay? So, very healthy for you, anti-inflammatory, probiotic. Just wanted to share that with you. We'll plant some ginger here in the next week or so. Starting to spring has sprung a little bit. It's a nice day out today, 65 degrees. I just got back from the gardens setting things up. And the next video, I think we're going to do some chili pepper extract. I got some super hot Reaper powder, crushed Reapers, and some crushed Ghost. So we're going to make some extract out of that. I think that's about it. So what you want to do, again, after a few days, you'll see this reaction start to happen. It'll get cloudy. You'll see some foaming. That's when you know it's time to add equal parts sugar and ginger. Okay, it's called feeding ginger bug. Feed the bug. So every day, every other day, you're going to want to stir this each day, regardless if you're feeding it or not. Stir it up. You don't want to add too much sugar. It'll turn to syrup. You're just feeding this yeast in here, okay? So wait a few days. You'll see the reaction. Add some equal parts sugar and ginger, and then double the amount of water, okay? Before you know it, you're going to have a full mason jar of ginger bug, and you could decide how to use it. And you could, up pot. That's what I did. Just add it to a bigger jug, bigger jar, and just keep it going. That's it in the end. I've had this going for about 3 weeks. So each time you feed it, it's going to obviously get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So you may want a big jar. I've got a few of these jars, so we'll see how much I end up making. But that's it. Once you get that chemical reaction, don't go more than a couple of days without feeding it sugar, more ginger, more water. Okay? Depending on how much you want. If you don't want that much at the end, just, what you're going to do after about 2-3 weeks, up to a month, you'll just strain all the ginger out, save the liquid, put it in the fridge, and then you can decide what to do with the leftover ginger. I think what I'm going to do is just food process it to a fine dice, add a little water to it, and we'll make some ginger ice cubes, okay, that you can add to your drink or whatever. So that is it for ginger bug this season. We're going to keep it going, probably get a couple of jars, big jars out of this, and we'll see what else we make. We'll do a future video, okay? Until next time, this has been the Reed Homestead. Patrick coming at you. Till next time, guys, God bless. Have a great night. Bye.